Alright guys, welcome to the video for Saturday, June 4th, 2022. And if you want to save yourself some time, please feel free to check out my quick pick recap at the end of the video. All of my picks for this video are at the end of the clip, and the timestamp for all those picks is in the description section below. All you have to do is click on it and it'll take you right to the end of the video. But before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to the video here today. My name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. I also sell my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. And I have packages on my safe and secure website starting at just $1.99. And just keep in mind here, guys, if you do sign up for a package here today on that site, you're going to get access to that membership every single day all the way through the end of June. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on BrockPage.com is I actually share with you which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. Huge slate of games here today. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Tigers taking on the Yankees. 1:05 Eastern first pitch. New York's minus 310, totals 8.5. Luis Severino for the Yankees, Bo Briesky for Detroit. Now, Briesky really hasn't been all too good in the bigs. He's 0-4 with a 5.25 ERA, a 1.39 whip. And even if Bo has a good outing here today, I'm just not sure the Tigers can give him the run support he needs. Detroit's currently dead last in homers, dead last in OPS, and no real surprise here, guys. This Tiger lineup is scoring fewer runs per contest than any other team in the majors right now. And unfortunately for Tiger fans, well, they're going up against Luis Severino here today, who's been real good to start the year. Luis is 3-1 with a 3.38 ERA and 51 strikeouts. Now, the righty's also got himself a whip of just 1.10. When it comes to offensive production, nobody hits home runs like the Yankees. These guys are currently leading the majors in homers per 9. Of course, Aaron Judge, he's currently the league leader in that category with 20 bombs on the year. Now, Judge is also leading the bigs in OPS as well. Meanwhile, Anthony Rizzo, Giancarlo Stanton, and Gleyber Torres, they all have double-digit home runs themselves. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the number in this one, oddly enough, the Yankees have gone 60% to the under in their last 10 outings. Meanwhile, the Tigers saw 6 out of their last 10 ball games fall under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the New York Yankees minus 1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. Next matchup, Cards-Cubs game 1. That's going to be a 1:20 Eastern first pitch. St. Louis is minus $1.15, totals 9. Andre Pallante for St. Louis, Matt Swarmer for Chicago. Now, Swarmer has just 6 innings of work under his belt this year. The Cubbies have also been pretty bad in the friendly confines. They've gotten the W in just 10 out of 28 home games. Their lineup's amongst the worst in the National League in home strikeouts per game. They're taking on Andre Pallante, who's yet to lose a game this season through over 25 innings. The righty's got a 1.07 ERA along with 18 strikeouts. He's also backed by a powerful Cardinal lineup, who's amongst the best in the league in scoring. Now, Paul Goldschmidt, he's hitting .349 at the dish with a dozen homers and 47 RBI. Matter of fact, Goldie's currently in the top 3 in the bigs, batting average, RBI, and OPS. Meanwhile, teammate Nolan Arenado, he's got double-digit home runs himself, along with 13 doubles. When it comes to the number, the Cards went 6-4 to the over in their last 10 ball games. Meanwhile, Chicago on the other side, they've gone 18-10 to the over at Wrigley Field. I'm going to lean towards St. Louis minus $1.15, and the over 9 runs in game 1. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Twins Blue Jays 3:07 Eastern first pitch. Toronto's minus 175, totals 9. Jose Barrios for the Jays, Dylan Bundy for Minnesota. Now Bundy's 3-2 on the year with 34 strikeouts. This Minnesota lineup's also done a nice job making contact with the baseball. These guys are amongst the best in the American League right now in fewest strikeouts per 9 on the road. Luis Arias is also leading the club with a .342 batting average. Now Byron Buxton, he's also got himself a dozen home runs on the season as well. Now they're taking on a Toronto club who's had a tough time covering the number at Rogers Center. These guys are just 10-16 against the number at home this year, and that's good for only 38% in that category. And of course, I'm referring to the run line. When it comes to the scoring in this one, well, Toronto really hasn't done a great job of putting runners across the plate. They're actually in the bottom 10 in the majors in scoring on average per contest. Now, pitching-wise, Jose Barrios has kind of been getting, knocked around a little bit to start the year. He's got himself a .562 ERA, along with a 1.51 WHIP. When it comes to the scoring in this one, Toronto's currently 16-10 to the under in their own building. They also averaged only 3.2 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with Minnesota. And speaking of the Twins, 7 out of their last 10 meetings with Toronto fell under the total. So if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. I'm going to lean toward Minnesota plus 1.5 and the under 9. Next ball game, Mariners, Rangers, 4:05 East. Texas is minus $1.25, totals 9. Glenn Otto for Texas, Marco Gonzalez for Seattle. Marco's just 3-5 on the season with a 1.40 WHIP. The Mariners have also had a tough time getting the W on the road. Out of their 30 contests away from Seattle this year, the Mariners got the W only 11 times. They're taking on a Texas club on the other side of things, who actually does a pretty nice job hitting for power. Matter of fact, the Rangers are in the top 10 in the league right now in home runs per contest. Corey Seager's got 11 round trippers on the year. Of course, Garcia, Miller, and Calhoun, they've all combined for 22 home runs as well. When it comes to the pitching, Glenn Otto comes into today's ball game with a 3-2 record along with 29 strikeouts. When it comes to the total in this one, the Rangers saw 4 out of their last 5 home games fall under the posted number. They also went 60% to the under in their last 10 meetings with Seattle. I'm going to lean toward Texas minus $1.25 and the under 9. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Diamondbacks taking on the Pirates. That's going to be a 4:05 Eastern first pitch. Pittsburgh's minus 135, totals 8.5. Ronzi Contreras for Pittsburgh. Zach Davies for Arizona. And even though Davies hit a couple of rough spots, he still has a couple of wins on the year himself, along with 37 strikeouts. Now, this Arizona pitching staff also does a pretty nice job on the road. They're actually in the top 3 in the bigs right now in fewest hits allowed while traveling. And much to everyone's surprise, at least to my surprise here, the D-backs currently have a winning record away from home. Now they're taking on a Pittsburgh club here today who's winning only 42% of their ball games at PNC Park. And offensively, well, the Buccos, they've really struggled at the dish this year. They're scoring only 3.6 runs per contest. They also find themselves in the bottom 5 in team batting average. Now, total-wise, the Pirates are 16-10 to the under in the Steel City. I'm going to lean toward Arizona plus $1.15 and the under 8.5 runs. Next ball game I have for you, it is going to be Guardians Orioles 4:05 Eastern 4:05 Eastern first pitch. Cleveland's minus 120, totals 8. Tyler Wells for Baltimore, Tristan McKenzie for Cleveland. And even though McKenzie's having one heck of a year, the Twins simply just can't win for him. McKenzie comes into today's ballgame with a 3-4 record somehow, despite how good he's been. When it comes to the hitting in this one, the Guardians have struggled hitting for power. Cleveland's actually amongst the worst home run hitting teams in the American League right now. Of course, they're taking on a Baltimore club who plays their best baseball at home. Now, the O's also have Tyler Wells on the mound here today, who's got a 3.71 ERA and a 1.08 whip. When it comes to the number in this one, 7 out of these teams' last 10 head-to-head meetings got over the total. So once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of overs to go around. Meanwhile, the O's saw their last 4 straight at Camden Yards get over the line. Now, Cleveland on the other side, they are 4-3 to the over in their last 7 while traveling. I'm going to lean toward Baltimore plus $1 in the over 8. Next matchup, it is going to be Red Sox A's 407 East. Boston's minus 130, total 7.5. Nick Pivetta for the Bo Sox, Paul Blackburn for Oakland. Now, Blackburn has been a rare bright spot for Oakland this year. Having said that, though, the A's are on a 4-game losing streak, and they also dropped 7 out of their last 8. Now, the A's also played their worst baseball in the Coliseum. Out of the A's 29 home games this season, they got the W only 7 times. They're taking on a Boston club on the other side of things, who does a nice job hitting the baseball. The Bo Sox are currently in the top 3 in team batting average, and they're led by J.D. Martinez, who's hitting .357 at the dish. Now, Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts, they all have batting averages in the 300s as well. When it comes to the pitching in this one, Nick Pivetta comes into today's ball game with 4 wins on the year and an ERA below 4. Now, the righty is also fanned 51 batters this season and has a whip of just 1.17. Now, total-wise, 2 out of Boston's last 3 road games got over the number. Meanwhile, Oakland's gone 5-3 to the over in their last 8 at the Coliseum. I'm going to lean toward Boston minus 130 in the over 7.5 runs. Next matchup, Astros Royals, 4:10 p.m. East. Houston's minus 170, totals 9. Luis Garcia for the Stros, Chris Bubich for Kansas City. Now, Boobies has yet to get a win on this season. He's 0-3 on the year with a 12.83 ERA. Titties has also walked more batters than he struck out. And even if Jugs has a good outing here today, he's backed by a Royals lineup who's done very little offensively. Kansas City scoring only 3.8 runs per contest, and they're amongst the worst in the American League in home runs at the plate. Now they're taking on Luis Garcia here this afternoon, who's off to another good start, to the season. Luis got a 3.14 ERA along with a 1.07 whip. Now Garcia's also fanned 51 batters and just over 48 innings of work. When it comes to offensive production in this one, the Stros are one of the better home run hitting teams in the majors. Now, total-wise, Houston's gone 23-9 to the under while traveling. And as a matter of fact, the Astros are currently 73% to the under for the entire season at any location. I'm going to lean toward Houston minus 170 and the under 9. Next ball game, it is going to be Giants taking on the Marlins. That's going to be a 4:10 Eastern first pitch in Miami. Now, both teams are minus $110 with the total at 6.5. Logan Webb for San Francisco. Pablo Lopez for Miami. And despite some great numbers for Lopez, Miami as a team, they've struggled here lately. They lost 7 out of their last 10, and they also have a losing record at Lone Depot Park. Now, hitting-wise, the Fish have struck out an awful lot at the plate this year as well. Miami's actually amongst the worst teams in the National League right now in strikeouts per 9. They're taking on Logan Webb, who's got 50 strikeouts on the season already himself. Now, Webb's also 5-1 on the year with a 3.52 ERA and a 1.16 whip. When it comes to offensive production in this one, the Giants can score with the best of them. They're actually in the top 3 in the league in scoring. When it comes to the total in this one, San Francisco went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings. Meanwhile, the Marlins saw 6 out of their last 10 ball games get over the total themselves. I'm going to lean towards San Francisco minus about 10 in the over 6.5. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Nationals taking on the Reds. That's going to be a 4:10 Eastern first pitch. Cincinnati's minus 130, totals 9.5. Tyler Mahle for Cincinnati, Eric Fedde for Washington. Now, Feds has been a bit lackluster this season. He's just 3-4 with a 4.60 ERA and a 1.53 WHIP. And even if he does show up, the Nats have struggled hitting for power. They're in the bottom 3 in home runs, and they're also in the bottom of the barrel in the National League with regard to scoring. They're taking on a Cincinnati team who won 6 out of their last 9, with victories over the likes of Boston, San Francisco, the Cubbies, and this very Nats team. Now, pitching-wise, the Reds are actually in the top 10 in the league in striking batters out at home. Actually, not at home, any location. They're in the top 10 in the league in striking batters out at any location. Now, Tyler Mahle's got 58 of those strikeouts this season. He's actually averaging over a strikeout an inning. When it comes to the number, the Reds have gone 16-7 to the over at the Great American Ballpark. Now, that's good for 70% in that category. Meanwhile, Washington's 19-8 to the over when they travel. Give me the Reds minus 130 and the over 9.5. Next ball game, White Sox Rays, 4:10 p.m. East. Tampa Bay's minus $1.25, total 7. Drew Rasmussen for Tampa Bay, Dylan Cease for Chicago. Despite a handful of good outings, Cease has struggled a bit with control. He's walked 23 batters, and his whip has crept up to a 1.25. White Sox have also struggled to get the W here recently. They're currently on a 4-game skid. They dropped 7 out of their last 9. Now, they're taking on a Tampa club who's on a 3-game winning streak themselves, and they also got the W in 5 out of their last 7. Now, pitching-wise, Drew Rasmussen's had a solid start to the year. He's 5-2 with a 3.47 ERA and a 1.09 WHIP. Now, the righties also fanned 44 batters in just over 46 innings. Now, total-wise, the Rays are 62% to the under at the Trop. They've also held Chicago to just 3.6 runs a game in their last 10 head-to-head meetings. I'm going to lean toward the Rays minus $1.25 and the under 7. Next matchup, it is going to be Padres Brewers, 4:10 Eastern first pitch. Milwaukee's minus 130 with the total at 7.5. Aaron Ashby for Milwaukee, Mackenzie Gore for San Diego. And even though Gore's been outstanding, the Pods have lost 7 out of their last 10 ball games. And they also averaged only 2.1 runs a game in those defeats during that span. The Pods also have struggled at the dish in certain areas. They're currently in the bottom 5 in the league in home runs per contest. And they're also struggling in that OPS category. They're taking on a solid Brewers pitching staff who's leading the bigs in strikeouts. Aaron Ashby has been responsible for 51 of those Ks. He also has a 2.70 ERA in 40 innings of work. Meanwhile, offensively, the Brewers have done a real nice job hitting for power. Rowdy Tellez has double-digit homers on the year. When it comes to the number, Milwaukee's gone 60% to the over in their last 10 outings. Meanwhile, San Diego's 17-12 to the over as the official road team. I'm going to lean toward Milwaukee minus 130 in the over 7.5. All right, next matchup, it is going to be Cardinals versus the Cubs, Game 2. That's going to be a 7:15 Eastern start time. Now, both teams are minus $1.10 with the total at 8.5. Johan Oviedo, possible for St. Louis. Caleb Killian, possible for the Cubs. And if both pitchers do start today, they'll both be making their season debut. But as I indicated in my earlier pick for Game 1, the Cubs have been real bad in front of their home crowd. They're winning just 35% of their contests at Wrigley, and they strike out an awful lot at the dish. They're taking on a St. Louis team who pounds the baseball and also has a solid pitching staff to back it up. St. Louis is currently amongst the best teams in the National League and fewest runs allowed per contest. When it comes to the total in this one, oddly enough, St. Louis went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings. Meanwhile, Chicago on the other side of things, they are 64% to the over at Wrigley. I'm going to lean toward the Cards minus $1.10 and the over 8.5 in Game 2. Next matchup, Angels, Phillies, 7:15 East. Philadelphia is minus $1.80, totals 8. Zach Wheeler for Philadelphia, Michael Lorenzen for Los Angeles. Now Lorenzen's off to a real nice start. He's got a 5-2 record and a 3.19 ERA. Lorenzen's also got himself a whip of just 1.06. And despite getting shellacked by the Phils just last night, this is an Angels lineup that can certainly bounce back. Mike Trout's got 13 home runs on the season and 28 RBI. He's actually in the top 10 in the league in home runs and OPS. And despite struggling as of late, the Angels do still find themselves in the top 10 in team OPS. Now they're taking on a Phillies club who did play some spirited baseball last night, but they still struggle with strikeouts at the dish. The Titans are one of the worst teams in the National League right now in strikeouts at the plate per 9. They also have a losing record right now at Citizens Bank Park. And as good as Zach Wheeler's been on the bump here this year, he does come into today's ball game with a lackluster 3-3 record. Now, scoring-wise, 8 out of these teams' last 10 head-to-head meetings did fall under the posted number. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Angels plus 1.5, keeping this one close, in the under 8 runs. Next ball game, it is going to be Braves, Rockies, 9:10 Eastern, first pitch in Denver. Atlanta's minus 175 on the road, totals 11 and a hook. Spencer Strider for Atlanta. Kyle Freeland for Colorado. Now Freeland's been pretty bad this season. He's just 1-5 with a 4.96 ERA and a 1.56 WHIP. Meanwhile, more recently, the Rockies dropped 7 out of their last 10 ball games, and they find themselves dead last in opponents' OPS. They're taking on an Atlanta lineup who's amongst the better teams in the National League in OPS at the dish. They're also in the top 10 in the bigs in home runs per game. Austin Riley has 13 bombs on the year. Marcell Ozuna with 10. When it comes to the pitching in this one, Spencer Strider's off to a real nice start this year. He's got a 3.45 ERA and a 1.08 WHIP. The righty's also struck out a whole bunch of batters. He's got 44 strikeouts in just over 28 innings of work. When it comes to the total in this one, the Braves have averaged nearly 6 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with Colorado. Meanwhile, the Rockies on the other side of things, they are 7-3 to the over in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward Atlanta minus 175. In the over, 11.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final free pick for the video. It is going to be Mets taking on the Dodgers. That's going to be a 10:10 Eastern first pitch. The LA Dodgers are minus 185, totals 8.5. Walker Buehler for Los Angeles, David Peterson for New York. Now, Peterson's having a real nice year thus far. He's got a 2-0 record and a 3.03 ERA. The Mets have also done a real nice job cashing in on the run line. They're 17-10 against the number while traveling. And that's good for 63% in that category. Now, hitting-wise, Pete Alonso's got 14 home runs on the year, along with 48 RBI. And he's currently in the top 5 in the league in both of those categories I just mentioned. Meanwhile, Francisco Lindor is right behind him with 43 runs batted in. He's also in the top 5 in the majors in that particular category. Now they're taking on a Dodger club who failed to cash in on the run line and 3 out of their last 5 at home. The Dodgers also dropped 3 out of their last 5. And that includes a 3-game sweep to the Pirates. Now, total-wise, LA 7-3 to the under in their last 10 ball games. They also went 70% to the under in their last 10 meetings with New York. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Mets plus 1.5, keeping this one close. And the under 8.5 runs. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap, powered to you by my website at patreon.com/rockpage. I have packages on that website starting at just $1.99. I like the Yankees minus 1.5 and the under 8.5 against Detroit. I also like the Cardinals minus $1.15 over 9 runs in Game 1 of the doubleheader against the Cubs. Give me Minnesota plus 1.5 under 9 runs against Toronto. I'm also leaning toward the Rangers minus $1.25 under 9 runs against Seattle. Give me Arizona plus $1.15 under 8.5 against Pittsburgh. I also like Baltimore plus $1 over 8 runs taking on the Guardians. Give me the Red Sox minus $1.30 over 7.5 runs against the Athletics. I also like Houston minus $1.70 under 9 runs against the Royals. Give me San Francisco minus $1.10 over 6.5 against Miami. I'm also leaning toward Cincinnati minus 130 over 9.5 against the Nationals. Give me Tampa Bay minus $1.25 under 7 runs against the White Sox. I like Milwaukee minus 130 over 7.5 against the Padres. I'm also leaning toward St. Louis minus $1.10 over 8.5 in Game 2 of the doubleheader against the Cubbies. Give me the Angels plus 1.5 under 8 runs against the Phillies. I like Atlanta minus 175 over 11.5 against Colorado. Give me the Mets plus 1.5 under 8.5 runs against the Dodgers. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on patreon.com/rockpage. Now, guys, if you do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on my safe and secure website, you're going to get access to that membership every single day all the way through the end of June. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, if you want to get access to every single bet, every single package, every single day all the way through the end of June, you may want to sign up for my board member tier package. Not only do board members get access to the board member tier package bet itself, they also get access to every single bet, every single package, every single day, all the way through the end of June. It's an all-inclusive membership. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Saturday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/rockpage.